Hey, welcome to the Boat Dealer Profits podcast. This is your host, Matt Selhorst of Boat Dealer Profits, and I'm committed to helping you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. And today I'm super excited about our guest, Jim Jabaay. He's with Lot Vantage, the vice president over there. And he grew up in his grandfather's car dealership that his grandfather started in 1954. And being in the family business, you learn the ins and outs of the dealership and of the business in a way that you just don't if it's not a family business. So I'm really excited about his perspective there. He worked his way up at Mannheim Auto Auctions, and then moved into the digital marketing world, and now he's helping Lot Vantage platform grow, where they're solving the content and the brand messaging challenges that are faced by manufacturers and dealerships by providing the OEMs the ability to automate the sharing of their corporate content, their campaigns, their advertisements across their dealer networks, social channels, things like Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. And they're doing this all via Lot Vantage Brand Manager platform. So, Jim, first of all, thanks for joining me here on the podcast, and congratulations. Congratulations on being recognized in Boating Industry's 40 Under 40 edition. That's fantastic. I'm excited to have you, and I look forward to getting your take on how our listeners can sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. So let's start with just share a little bit about your story, kind of the high points that you think give you the perspective that's really advantageous in the boating industry.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I appreciate that, Matt. So, growing up in the family business, in the car business space, really gave me a perspective of hands-on. I learned at a young age in working on cars, but then in selling cars through the family business that now my father and brother still run to this day. So,
okay, I was curious about that.
Yeah, yep, still around. They're right outside south suburbs of Chicago, and have been, like as you mentioned, since '54. So, great family business, which still stay in very close contact and still learn about what happens inside the dealership day in and day out.
Oh yeah, that's a great source of intelligence for what's working today.
Absolutely. And, grew up with a passion around boating, though, my entire life. Grew up on an inland lake in northern Indiana. Spent my time behind Sport Nautique, water skiing, wakeboarding, you name it, and jet skiing all on the weekends through the summers. And have been able to now live in Tampa and continue to share that same passion and excitement for boating with my family. Now living in Tampa with all the access to all the water we have here.
Yeah, a great environment for that. Now, you said before we got started, you had a couple of young kids that are getting out and just enjoying all that the boating lifestyle has to offer. I think that's something about being in this industry that it's just a great motivation, because you're putting other families in that position, and you're passing along that opportunity with what we sell here.
Absolutely, it's critical for our industry to share that passion and see that passion. And I can't think of many times I've had a bad time on a boat.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember even as a kid, when you ran out of gas, or in the old days when your outboard broke down and you had to get towed back in. To me, sometimes those were some of the funnest stories, when something just ridiculous happened, and boaters have a way of helping each other out and making it fun no matter what. So I would love to hear about what you learned as a kid growing up in the business. I mentioned in the intro that, I think there's a unique perspective of growing up with a family-owned business. My dad has his own business, and now my brother and sister run that. And like you, I'm kind of outside of what my family is doing, but having my own business. What did you learn as a kid when you're 1954? I imagine you were born into it. What did you pick up emptying trash cans and probably washing cars and cleaning up around the lot?
I think couple of things you learn. One is you learn a work ethic, as being in a family business, because you watch that everything you're doing is to grow the business, and you get a big appreciation for what it takes to run a business. I learned to detail cars, clean cars, from the bottom up, from
the right way.
Oh, the right way, absolutely the right way. But I've seen it. I'm pretty sure I've seen it all. When you didn't think a car could get any dirtier, it definitely still happened.
Yeah.
But I also got the opportunity to not only sell cars at a young age, but also then spend time in the auto auction selling cars wholesale. So both the retail side and the wholesale side of selling cars. I could still tell you the first car I sold. I think I was about 14 years old when I sold a car to a gentleman
Really?
at the dealership. And after it was all said and done, he goes, "Son, I need to ask you, how old are you?" And so fun
Oh, that's
story.
fantastic. 14. That's great.
Yeah. So it's been in my blood to understand how to pick it up and do what it takes to get a car ready for retail, similar to what you do with a boat in today's world, but then understanding that entire buying process and what people think about and through that buying process. Now it's changed a lot, digital, with the digital aspect of this, it's changed quite a bit, but still the dealership is a critical piece of my history and life.
I think the nose to nose, toes to toe sales experience that you had, it has to give you just insights that other marketers don't have that face to face experience. You said that the buying process has changed because of the technology, but I don't necessarily think the psychology that happens when they're on the lot trying to make that decision. I don't know if that has changed a whole lot. What do you think about that?
I think I'd agree with you on that. I don't think that has changed. What I think has changed to that is you don't have your shoppers that come in and are looking just, as they used to say, well, we're just browsing, we're just looking. Those don't happen anymore. I can tell you that 4 years ago, the average customer visited a dealership 5 times before they made a purchase. Now it's 1.7. So you really have to capitalize on every customer that walks into your door, that this is maybe their one or maybe second visit, and they're going to buy something from you when they're there. They're going to make those decisions to make that buying decision. They do so much homework and research that they're almost there by the time they walk into your store. And it's critical to ensure that you are ready to get them across the finish line. Things that scare me in this world today is that a lot of times consumers come in knowing more about our inventory than the dealerships and the salespeople in the dealerships do, because they've done so much homework and research. And education around our sales teams about our inventory is mission critical.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about your platform. We'll get into the more specifics of it, but they're doing so much research online and having as much information as you can out there to not only to give them for their research, but also offer a way to capture a lead. And I think that's something that you guys have right on target, that you're not just putting content out there to put content, but you're doing it to drive a lead back into the dealership to follow up and to build that relationship. And I think you're right on target there for sure. You mentioned the integration, and again, we'll get into that. But what are some of the things that you do because of the change in the buying process? What are some of the things that you think dealers should do, and that you teach the dealers that you work with?
Yeah, great question. So to me, if you look at the boat buying process, I would say 75% of that process is digital. And so what do I mean by digital? Well, it's everything from visiting the OEM's website to doing comparison tests to looking at reviews of the boat to then asking their friends and family for advice. That could be done, face to face, or it could be done via social media channels. Sharing that entire buying experience that they have before they walk in the dealership and buy the boat. They're going to go and look up financing offers and options, watch YouTube videos. The list goes on and on that somebody does through that entire process before they walk in the dealership. So for dealerships, where I think it's critical is you have to think of your digital storefront and what is the experience that customers are going to learn about you when they visit both not only your physical location, but more importantly, your digital location. So, and the digital location doesn't end and start and end with your website. That's one aspect of a website. But if you looked at 98% of all the dealerships' websites, every one of them has a little F logo for Facebook in the bottom right-hand corner or the upper right-hand corner. And what are your consumers learning about your business when they visit your Facebook page? Because that's where the passion should be shared. That is where people share their passions from consumers, but they want to go there to get educated. So if you don't have a fan page that's up to date, or you haven't posted there in 7, 8 months, the consumer's mindset is going to be changed through that digital process when they visit their Facebook page. Just like a YouTube channel, what are you doing to continually educate your dealership or your customers before they even walk into your dealership, so they come into your dealership comfortable, confident, and really ready to sit down and make that purchase with you?
Yeah, I talk about in my book and in some of my my training, I talk about it in the terms of they can walk into your dealership cold, and I equate that to, you know, starting on the football field on the 20-yard line and having to drive 80 yards for a touchdown, versus if you have your digital dealership set up the right way. And I'm going to ask you about some best practices there. And you've communicated with your leads the right way. By the time they come in, I mean, you could be almost to the red zone and have yourself positioned for a high margin boat sale when you have those things right. What are some best practices that you teach, and maybe you even set them up for some of your dealers on, you know, what should be out there to help kind of prove your value and start building that relationship before they walk into the door swing of your actual dealership?
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple aspects of that. Let's first talk about your representation of inventory on your website. To me, there's 3 things that sell anything, and you could talk about a widget all the way up to a $250,000 boat. It's price, photos, and description. People buy based off of those 3 things. So ensuring that you don't just have the stock photography photos up of your boat, and you're actually going
that's a pet peeve. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. It's not actually red. It's black. I'm like, put the black boat up there, for Pete's sake.
Take the time to go out there and photograph every boat that you have in stock, and ensure that you have the images and the reasons that people would buy it. People are, when that digital experience, they're looking at all the photos. They're looking for the pieces that make that boat stand out over another boat. Maybe it's because of the T-top it's got on the center console, or maybe it's take pictures of the engine hours, of how many hours are on the boat, to all the extra equipment that it might have that sets that boat apart from the rest of the boats they may look at.
I would add video. I would add video on there as well, as virtually a necessity these days. You guys support video in your listings, I would assume?
We do. We do. We create YouTube videos on every vehicle and every boat that comes in through our platform. And it's a basic presence for a dealership. I would encourage them to go out and shoot their own videos and walk around videos, but this at least gives them that aspect of that overview. Your description is critical. Don't leave the description part blank. Sell the boat when somebody looks at it, when they visit on your website, or they visit it on Boat Trader, wherever they may find that boat, on eBay or Craigslist, wherever they may find that boat. Make sure that you represent those 3 main pieces of price, photo, and description. It's critical.
Yep. Well, and you work with some manufacturers. How do you? What's the best practice on handling price? Some of the manufacturers have their only MSRP. What things have you discovered in all the work you've done that's insightful there, based on data and your experience?
Man, so we ran hard data tests on number of leads that are received when a boat is represented with price or without price in an advertisement. And what we found is that when price is represented on a boat, and it rang true across all the verticals that we supply as well, you're getting a 25% lift in leads because you've got past the person that just calls in and said, "Hey, I'm calling for the price." That's a tough conversation to start, in my opinion.
That's starting on the 1-yard line, driving 99 yards to a touchdown.
You got your back against the wall when the first question they say, "Hey, I'm calling about the boat, and what's the price on that?" And they've already had a perception in their mind of what they think that price should be. Set the right expectation with them and put the price out there for them, because now you can negotiate through that piece if you need be. But sharing the price, everybody's going to do their research. They're going to look up NADA values to understand if it's a fair price. All that is done before they even walk into your store, before they even start negotiating with you.
And I mean, you said 25% increase in leads generated. I mean, that, even if you disagree with it 100%, that fact should push you over the edge to say, This isn't like the old days when when you leave the horsepower off your boat trader ad to get them to call, because otherwise, you don't get the opportunity. You don't get the opportunity now unless you offer all of the information, the pictures, the description, the video, and the price. That's awesome data, Jim. That's cool.
So the other aspect.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. The other aspect that I look at that is critical, and you can talk through the next part of the digital process, right? Is your Facebook fan page. If you think about doing a Google search on your dealership, and any dealer can go do this. Go Google your dealership name. There's 4 critical pieces that come up. First piece that typically comes up is your website. But on average, a dealership's Facebook fan page is 2.4 in Google results. They're going to click on your Facebook fan page. They're going to want to learn things from your Facebook fan page. So sharing pictures of Johnny, who just bought a 21-foot center console, doesn't resonate to your customers who are looking to come in and buy from you. What resonates with them is, hey, here's reviews of some of the inventory that we have in stock. Here is some lifestyle content about the industries that we serve. Maybe it's saltwater fishing, maybe it's wakeboarding, maybe it's just runabout, and here's the best 5 places to go fishing in Southwest Florida. That's the type of content that consumers want to engage with. And if that's what you represent on your Facebook fan page, you're going to give the customer a better understanding about who you are and what you guys do versus a guy who just came in and bought a boat from you last week, because I don't care about that if I'm coming into your dealership. I do care about you giving me information that I want to consume that makes sense to me, that you guys can position yourself as your dealership as a thought leader and an expert and somebody that I can now trust because you've built that trust.
And you mentioned something when you very first started, that Google your dealership and see what comes up. I encourage everybody listening to Google do it on a quarterly basis, or at least once a year, and see because they're doing it. They go to a boat show and they talk to your best salesperson, whether they put a deposit down or they don't. They go home and they're going to Google your dealership and search around. And you're right. They're going to come up on that Facebook fan page. They're going to come up on, they're going to click on those top, you probably know the number, but 3, 4, 5 links and check you out for sure.
And the other 2 sides of that, that's what we consider critical aspects for dealerships, is that if you look at those 4 pieces that an eye is going to catch when you do a Google of your dealership, the website will be there on top. The Facebook fan page will be right below that. But if you look to the right-hand side of that Google search, you're going to have all your listing information about your dealership, your hours of operation, your phone number, your and all those pieces. Is that information correct? Because if they can't find you, they can't buy from you.
Yep.
The second piece,
correct and incomplete. Incomplete.
Correct and complete. Yes, absolutely. The piece below that automatically comes up on Google is your reviews. How are you managing your reviews for your dealership? Are you responding to all positive and negative reviews? Are you trying to go out there and encourage people that buy from you to leave you reviews? That includes people that come in and buy parts and accessories, not just major unit boats. So those are the things that when you think about your entire digital footprint and that snapshot of what your business looks like, those are the 4 major critical pieces: your website, your Facebook fan page, your listings, and can they find you, and then your reputation or your review management. And that's all right there on the first page of Google.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say everybody, but I would guess 90+% of people are doing that before they ever give you a check. And the reviews, social proof is one of the pillars that I believe is foundational in driving higher conversion and higher margin sales. And I love that that's something that you guys focus on. That's fantastic. What else have you, from your experience in the auto business growing up, and even Lot Vantage does a little bit in the auto world as well, what best practices or learning from that industry can we take over that maybe we're weak on, or mistakes that we're making in the boating side of it that could benefit everybody?
Man, the auto space, as you know, is a beast. 17 million new vehicles a year being sold over the last couple of years. Where I see a big focus in the auto space is that franchise dealerships have a major focus on selling used inventory, taking trade-ins, assessing those trades, and selling that used inventory and keeping it there. I think for dealerships to have a used a use strategy is a critical piece for a dealership. Then you dig into the digital pieces of it all, and you have to understand that the shift, and the auto space is recognizing this shift, and it's done a very nice job of that shift from traditional media and marketing to the digital advertising space that we're rolling into. So gone are the days of mailers and radio ads and billboards. While they still have their place, the ROI that you see in digital advertising and in places like Google and more importantly Facebook is where I would say that we could take some learning lessons from the auto industry and continue to see that shift from traditional advertising to that digital advertising and capitalize on that space.
And I think one area that even more so for the boating industry, when you look at radio, TV, and even to some extent print, I mean, you're talking mass market. The boating gene, if you will, is only in a small percentage of the population. And so you take that mass market ROI is going down for the auto industry. It's even more so for the boating industry when you get niched down. And that's where the digital marketing has such a huge advantage, is because you can target so specific. And again, so if it's better for the auto industry, for the boating industry, it has to be even a greater advantage to have that digital targeting ability to get right to your precise prospect. What kind of targeting do you guys look at, and what have you seen be effective?
So where we look at and then focus on Facebook advertising, it can get scary. It really can.
it doesn't like they know everything about me.
Oh, and they do. And so, we can identify shoppers that are and boat buyers based off of we can tell you based off of all our data and historical data that a boat buyer for a runabout, for that $25,000 to $40,000 runabout, has this many people inside their house. They have this type of household income. They drive this type of vehicle, and that they have this many lines of credit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And even down to the pages that they like Costa's Facebook fan page, et cetera, et cetera. And we can target advertisements to those people. You get into the people that are buying the higher end $100,000 plus boats, both saltwater and or freshwater boats. They're a different type of buyer. They drive, we could tell you that they drive a different vehicle. Most of them have a luxury SUV in their garage, and they have potentially 2 or 3, maybe even 3 automobiles. They've been a previous boat owner. Those types of things exist from Facebook. So we can get very hyper focused in advertising to drive real customers right back into the dealership. And that works today in Facebook, and dealerships should capitalize on that.
Yeah, and I don't want people to miss that. Did you hear how specific Jim was talking? What car is in their garage? And I did this when I was selling. Is I walked out into the parking lot on a busy Saturday afternoon and paid attention to, what were they driving? Well, I can tell you for my clients anyway, they weren't driving Kivas. They were driving a Lincoln Navigator, or they were driving a Ford F-150 or a Mercedes. And that's the type of information, and each dealer is going to be different, but that's the type of information that with especially Facebook, you can get so crazy, scary specific that you're driving your exact perfect lead into your dealership. That's fantastic. What are some of the mistakes that you see out there when you're getting started setting up, whether it be strategy, whether it be just a simple change to tactic, like putting price, not putting price, any mistakes that you see dealers making that they can easily avoid? Or
I think as we talked about before, your business listings, I think you see as something that is easily fixable and quickly fixable, that we see wrong all the time. That your hours of operation, your even maybe down to your address, or even worse, your phone number is not properly represented across the hundreds of places that people can find your dealership. everything down to think about the world where if I find a dealership and I type it into my vehicle navigation system, ensuring that information is correct is a very easy thing to fix. But it's a very important part of what we need to do. We see that those are wrong quite often, as scary as it may sound, that they look at it and go, well, those aren't our hours of operation because somebody set up somebody copied them over from your website, and then you change your hours of operation on your website, but you never changed it on your Facebook fan page, or you never changed it on all the way down to your Yelp page or any of the review sites, etc. Ensuring that information is correct is a big piece of it's an easy thing that can be fixed very quickly.
And that's a sure way to lose an opportunity. Somebody drives half hour to an hour to come see you on a Saturday afternoon, and you started closing early because it's after Labor Day, your hours changed, or you just changed your hours because of some other reason. It's unlikely they're going to be driving back, and if they do drive back, they're going to be in a very unpleasant mood because you wasted their time. And it's super easy. It's super easy to keep that stuff up to date with some services that are out there, or just do it yourself. And I encourage people to take a day, maybe an hour or so, just pretend that you're a customer. You don't know anything about your business. Put it into your GPS, Google it, call into the dealership. How are the phones answered? All of those little things are, you kind of just take them for granted because you've been in the business for 20, 30, 40 years. But you can discover some big, quick fixes by doing that. Anything else along those lines? That's a great one.
Something that I always saw highly successful inside of the auto space that I don't see come across enough in some of the other verticals, especially the marine space, is they always refer to them as trade walks, where the managers would take the sales team out and literally walk the lot and look at the inventory, talk about the inventory, both the vehicles that came in on trade to the new inventory that was sitting on the lot that had just come in, explaining what the inventory is, looking at it, understanding the options, and getting them educated about the inventory so that they can be prepared when somebody calls in to be able to talk about the boat that they have in stock. I think it's a really cool best practice that we can borrow from the auto industry and take one day a week to go out and walk the lot with the sales team. It'll get them even more familiar with all the inventory that they have in stock, the options that are sitting on the boat that they have out there, because every boat's built differently, and really at the same time, your point of make sure that you take the time to look at your dealership, walking around the dealership and understanding what that first impression will be when somebody does come into your store is also critical, and getting out there into the yard can also help with that.
Yeah, I coach my dealers too, and I used to do it when I was selling too. Is one of the first things I did in the morning was walk the yard. We had a marina, so it was a little bit bigger, but you know where the inventory is. When you have a customer come in, you can say, "Oh, that boat got moved yesterday, and now it's over here," and you're not wandering all around. I used to talk to myself and say my words, my scripts, and my sales messages over and over like a crazy person. But you see things and you know where things are, and you just have a level of knowledge and confidence that makes a big difference. I bet you probably learned that from your work at the auction, kind of knowing where things are, and that's
absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So simple, but it'll help you sell an extra boat this year if you do it.
Absolutely.
Talk to me. I know you have a center console down in Tampa now. Did you buy that before or after you were at Lot Vantage?
After. So it's been.
I'm curious. I'm curious about your buying experience, your shopping experience, or did you knew the dealer in the local market and you figured out exactly what you wanted, or did you shop like a normal consumer would?
And this one, I did not shop like a normal consumer would.
That's what when you said after Lot Vantage, I'm like, he knew the guy.
Yeah. But I recently went through that experience of putting myself into a shopper mindset, and went through the buying process here recently, and started on an OEM's website to then becoming a lead at a local dealership, just to experience what that was like, and what the good, bad, and the ugly that comes through that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Understanding, trying to get what the understand what the rebate was that was advertised and what the, because it said we have rebates available, but don't know what it was. So I wanted to figure out what that process looked like. And there was parts of it that were okay. Other parts that were painful. Again, it's a one-off experience, so I can't speak that I've done this a dozen times and that I have the exact same experience across every OEM, every type of dealership, etc. But I think there's pieces that we can communicate better through those pieces. Here's another easy, quick tip. If you leverage a CRM for automated emails, which I encourage you to do because they do work, make sure your automated emails don't say dear first name. They actually say the person's name.
Did that happen to you?
It happened to me twice.
Oh,
and it's the basic stuff that somebody set it up and you never looked at it again.
Never
that's why I encourage you to work yourself through the entire system like you're a fresh buyer. It will open your eyes to a whole new world of things that you can quickly correct inside your dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious what other, you said painful, that word tells me that and you were, you're looking at it, you're trying to be a consumer, but you have the knowledge that you have of, some of the good, but what was painful? What were, besides just totally blowing the autoresponder communication?
Yeah, I think it's the response time, right? Was one of the things that I found most painful to me. If I've got somebody that is excited and ready to go, let's get them an email. Let's get on the phone with them. Let's call them within the first 5-6 hours of them reaching out to us as a lead. You're never going to have somebody that's more excited about something than the second they fill out a lead form. We live in a world where we're so used to getting everything now and all the information that we want immediately to be put in that zone of almost in limbo, waiting to hear. You lose your passion, and then you start going down another path, and you might go start looking at other boats at that point because, well, I haven't heard back, and it's been 24 to 48 hours, and you let the consumer now drive themselves away from the boat that they just told you they were interested in. So follow up the leads quickly, even if it's a quick auto response. Hey, thanks for your inquiry. Our team will get out to you quickly and respond. But know that when you're selling something like a boat, that's really about a passion and decision that they've made, that they're ready to have an experience and share that experience. It might be a family, it might be with friends, whatever their motivation may be. It's not a means of transportation, right? In most cases, it's a desire and a want. So you got to capitalize on those people quickly and get in touch with them quickly. And that was probably the other piece that I found pretty frustrating, is that I got a series of emails, never got a phone call. And that's where you can really feel people out, is when you get on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you, what steps did you take when you were doing your from the customer experience, did you request a brochure or inquire about a specific piece of inventory?
I built a boat.
I'm just curious how you got into their funnel.
Yeah, I built a boat, requested information, connected me to my local dealership, and went through that process. Got an email from from OEM, with the price build sheet, and then that the follow up would come from the local dealership, and that was the process I went through.
The reason I asked is I got a new client that started going through my Splash system. I have them send me their emails that they actually send out. And, the one of them that they sent, it said, I'm not sure, you were at our manufacturer's website, I won't say who it was, and to build a boat, but I don't know what model it was, or, basically like I didn't get anything other than your name and email address. And now I'm going to try to start over. I mean, just such a disconnect from, and when you said painful, I was wondering if it was that just blatantly, oh my God, you guys are killing me kind of painful. But
it is.
It's such,
easy opportunities. It's another thing that we can fix.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about growing the industry and the Grow Boating Initiative, which is great. But in my personal experience and belief is the opportunity to grow the industry is to improve the nose to nose, toes to toes communication, sales process, follow up process, marketing process, and what you guys are doing, the lead generation. Give them the opportunity to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in buying a boat. Communicate with me the right way. and I'll probably get involved or make the move up. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about, we've alluded to it, the Lot Vantage program. It's more robust than I even was aware, and I try to stay pretty up to date on kind of the latest and greatest. Kind of tell me about the platform and how it may help with some of the painful points that we've talked about, or some of the opportunities that we've talked about in our talk today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. So the Lot Vantage platform really breaks into a few different aspects. The first is around social media and ensuring that your presence is up to date, right? With content from the industry that's both lifestyle content, review content, to OEM videos of the new products, etc. Ensuring that dealerships have a presence that's automated for them across their Facebook fan page.
Now, do you create the content for them? Do you have like a library of content, or do you create it original?
We have a full library of content from thousands of sources, and the dealerships can look. They can scroll through all of our content and select what they want to post, or what most of our dealerships do is they fill out their keywords of what they want to have going, and the system posts it automatically on a posting schedule for the dealership.
Okay, cool.
So the second aspect of our software is our business listings and reputation management. So ensuring that your customers can find you, and then that they trust you, which is part of that buying process, that all your information is up to date, and that your reputation is managed, and you're getting both positive reviews and responding to those, and also responding to negative reviews. But more importantly, reaching out to your past customers and asking them for a review to improve your review scores and get more reviews about your dealership. The last and the final piece is advertising. So we break advertising into two folds. One is across social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc., and driving leads, true leads, not just clicking the boost button on a post, but driving leads into the dealership with an action item in mind, whether it's to drive revenue into the service department, to advertise a financing special you have on new inventory, whatever your goals may be for the dealership, to drive leads and sales opportunities into the dealership off of Facebook. And then we also do inventory marketing across all the major channels, the classified channels like Craigslist and eBay, where I would encourage every dealership to ensure that they have a presence for a small investment at $5 a listing on Craigslist. The ROI is tremendous on what we see. We see an average of 1.1 leads per ad. So if you think about it, that lead cost on Facebook is less than $5 a lead.
Yeah.
I don't know where you can get leads anywhere cheaper than that.
Yeah, that's great, and I'm such a huge proponent in generating leads. I mean, I equate it to somebody coming to your Facebook page or your website, or even looking at one of your listings, looking at it and leaving, and you have no idea who they are. It would be the same thing as somebody walked into your actual dealership, talked to you, and left, and you never asked their name or contact information. I mean, it's such a wasted opportunity. That having strategies in place to generate an actual lead is so important, so you can communicate with them, and then obviously communicate the right way. That's fantastic.
So the Lot Vantage platform then takes all those advertisements, collects all the consumer information, phone number, email address, name, etc., and drives that lead into the Lot Vantage platform, which syncs directly to, if they have a CRM, directly to the dealership CRM. So we track all our phone calls and leads that we generate off phone calls, emails, etc., that you can really understand what your ROI is in your advertising plan and your marketing strategies.
Yeah, the tracking ROI now with digital is, I mean, it's no longer the black hole of voodoo of, oh my gosh, this marketing, I've got to spend my 6% or whatever your number is, and hoping that it works. I had a dealer that I was working with up in Minnesota that was spending like $80,000 on radio ads. And when I asked him, I said, how's it working? I don't know for sure. You spend $80,000 with digital, and like this works, and this target works, and this specific message works at this time. The tracking is so much more powerful, and can boost that ROI. So Jim, tell me, what are 2 or 3 things that that you would recommend dealers do to sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun? Like, if you were just kind of take a high level and say, if I had a dealership, these are the 3 things that I would make sure I did different than everybody, or make sure I did more of.
I would focus on where people spend their time. And to me, where people spend their time is on Facebook. Consumers spend, everybody that has Facebook spends roughly an hour a day on Facebook. And I would be advertising every bit that I could on Facebook, because I'm selling a lifestyle and selling a passion, and that's where people share their passions and talk about their lives. I would advertise on Facebook. I would have a major budget advertising as much as I could on Facebook on a monthly basis. Even if
can you talk about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you define advertising on Facebook? Because I know what you're talking about, but explain the difference in your perspective from advertising on Facebook versus being and posting on Facebook.
Yeah. So posting to your fan page or to your wall and putting a post up about your dealership is just that. It's putting a post on Facebook. Advertising is now taking a piece of content, and when I talk about content that I would push onto Facebook, the financing specials you have on your 2017 model year inventory, or the $2,500 rebates you have on your inventory, or whatever action item you're looking to drive. Maybe it's a winterization special because the season is ending and you want to drive traffic into your service department. That's what I consider advertising on Facebook. It's taking that, or promoting your upcoming shows and events that you have, promoting your presence at a boat show to an audience, a very targeted and specific audience, not a very general push boost and push this to every Facebook user that's within a 50-mile radius of my dealership, but getting specific into, I want to target people that have these types of likes and these types of interests that are in this income bracket, because my advertisements are for my $80,000 boats, not my $15,000 PWCs. That's what I talk about with advertising. Getting very specific on Facebook with who my ad is targeted to go, who I want that ad to go to. That's
because I think I think a lot of dealers that I talk to, they say, "Oh yeah, we're doing social media, we're on Facebook," but I think they miss the 80% value in Facebook, which is Facebook ads and advertising versus just posting, like you and I might about our dinner out with our wife, or and I didn't even ask you if you survived the hurricane. We'll talk about that offline, but hey, we made it through Irma and we're all safe. That's posting. The advertising is where I think the opportunity is for a lot of dealers that they're missing. And I would agree with that 100%. So thank you for that. I wanted you to explain it, because I think there's a misconception there by a lot of folks in the industry.
I think there is the difference between just posting and truly advertising and spending that money to drive revenue back to the dealership and sales opportunities. If I were focusing on in my dealership, I would look at my used boat methodology and what do we do to push used inventory. If you start thinking about first-time buyers, they might not have the budget for a brand new boat, and so having a used inventory strategy to me would be critical. And then if I have used inventory, ensuring that I'm marketing that used inventory everywhere that I possibly can, with photos, videos, descriptions, etc., and price.
Yep.
That would be
a great.
As simple as it sounds, those are differentiators for dealerships in this space.
Well, and here's this was years ago. I was speaking at an event, and I don't know if you're familiar with Courtney Chalmers at Boat Trader, Boat Screw, whatever they're called now, Dominion. In her talk, she said, based on their research, 82% of new boat buyers shopped used boats at one point. And to me, like, the light bulb went on of, a great opportunity to generate leads for new boats is by having your used boat inventory out and active online to generate those leads for you. Because just because they inquired about a 2012, whatever, doesn't mean that they won't buy the brand new model year. because they're researching and I agree, that's a huge differentiator to have that used inventory and to have it out there for people to see and find and inquire about.
And if I was thinking of one more thing, I would make sure that my staff knows everything they potentially could about the inventory that we have in stock, so that the consumer can ensure confidence when they walk in to the dealership, and that they know just as much or more about their inventory than the buyer does.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's great, having a good, strong staff that's knowledgeable. And a lot of times what I found when I was in that situation, every now and again, there would be a customer that would know more, a prospect that would know more than me, because they researched that particular model down to every single option. And I had, 5 different brands and models to know, but to know as much as you can about them, but just know where to go to get the right answer. And not just wing it and guess. I think both of those are key. And that's, and you mentioned it earlier, it's simple. It's not like anything we've talked about today is, oh my gosh, that's, I've never heard that before, or these 2 people are geniuses. These are just the little things I think that as a dealership owner or an industry can be improved upon. Jim, as we wrap up here, I'm going to ask you to give out your contact information so people can learn more about LotVantage and what you guys offer. But what would be kind of any last words, anything that we didn't talk about that we should have, or any experiences that you've had that you think would be valuable in the framework of being more successful in the boat business for dealers and selling more boats?
Man, I think we've covered a lot here in the last hour or so. To me, it's continually educating yourself and trying to learn as much as you possibly can about new ideas, and being open to change to grow your business. So you can't leverage the same old school mentality and expect to grow to get to where you want to get to in the future, to sustain the business for the future. So look at all the options, understand where the market is headed, and focus on the digital aspects of advertising, and ensuring that you have a nice presence both on the digital front of it all.
Yeah. Realizing that things are changing and your marketing dollars need to be likely reallocated, but at least reevaluated to determine if they're as effective as they could be. So I think we've covered a ton. This has been a fantastic conversation, a ton of value that you shared, Jim. So how can people get in touch with you if they just want to connect or learn a little bit more about LotVantage? I'm sure you do demos. You'll probably be down at MDCE, I would imagine.
I will be at MDCE. You can reach me directly. My email address is Jabaay, so JJABAAY @LotVantage.com. You can visit LotVantage.com. I encourage you to visit our blog there. There's a lot of great ideas and things around a lot of things that we just covered and talked about today. And/or you can visit us. LotVantage will have a booth at MDCE, and feel free to stop by and meet the team.
Well, that's great. I look forward to meeting you in person. This is the first time you and I have talked. I really wanted to speak with your 40 for 40 award. And I had the sense that with your growing up in a family business in the auto industry, and your being a boater and having that boating gene, I knew you'd have a good perspective. So I really appreciate you joining us. In the show notes, if you go to I think it's boatdealerprofits.com/podcast, you can get the links. I'll put up Jim's phone number. I don't think I'll put up an email. I may put a link to your email so that doesn't get out in the world in a bad way. But I really appreciate you joining us here. And for everybody listening, go check them out. And I'll give a quick plug for MDCE. Go down to the Marine Dealer Conference and Expo. There's some great speakers. There's some great people like Jim that you'll meet in the exhibit booth, and it's just a great place to learn more and kind of expand your knowledge and looking for what's new. So thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, what a great conversation with Jim at LotVantage. I hope you pulled a lot of great information from that. He had some great insights with his experience both on the digital side and and in the family business that that he and I both experienced growing up with their family having their own business and understanding the work ethic. That it all comes down to what you do and your success or failure. That's very relevant to everybody in the boat business. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, you can join me at for one of my webinars at boatdealerprofits.com/webinar. I've got a couple of new webinars out there that you may want to check out. You can learn more about the splash system. If you haven't taken advantage of the book, I've got a great book offer going on right now where I'll give you the book for free, Boat Dealer Profits, How the Splash System Can Help You Sell More Boats, make more money, and have more fun. All I ask is that you cover the shipping and handling, and I'll send you out a paperback copy of the book in the U.S. Postal Mail, and you can go to boatdealerprofitsbook.com and take advantage of that offer while it lasts. If you're interested in finding out how your dealership is doing, you can go to check out the Boat Dealer Profit Enhancer Scorecard. It's a scorecard that will tell you, are there opportunities in your business that you could take advantage of, and where are you doing really well? And it really helps you zero in on the areas to focus for your continued growth and continued success and profitability. And if you've been watching the Boat Dealer Profits TV episodes, been listening to the podcast, reading the boating industry articles, you read the book, and you're thinking, you know what, I got an email from a guy that said, you know what, I think this is what we need. And he just had a couple of quick questions. But if you want to go ahead and apply, if you want to apply for the splash system, you can go to boatdealerprofits.com/splash apply. So SPLASH apply, and that'll take you to more information on the splash system. It'll give you the guarantee. Matt's $50,000 in additional profit guarantee. I'm one of the only people that am the only person that stands behind the results of their work in the industry with that personal guarantee. So you can be certain that I'll do everything to make sure that you get the results, including holding you accountable. So that is one of the pieces that comes with that splash system. So you can go to boatdealerprofits.com/splash apply, and you can apply to participate in that program. And you can just go to boatdealerprofits.com and check out all of the other great information. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, if you think you have some great insight and you would like to share that with everybody, just reach out to me at boatdealerprofits, Matt at boatdealerprofits.com, and shoot me an email. If it makes sense, I may have some questions for you. If I'm not familiar, send me a little bit of information on why you would be a good guest, and I will get that set up for you. And I'm really excited. A couple people that I have kind of in the pipeline are customers who have actually bought in boats and have gone through the experience, get their perspective on their experience there, as well as some other people that are in the industry. I've got a few of my other boat dealers lined up to share their stories and their insights. So I'm really excited about the future guests. Keep tuning in. If you haven't, you can subscribe so that this gets sent right to your smartphone. Whether that's on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, just go to your podcast button on your phone, and you can do that and get it sent when they're released. Every other Tuesday is the release schedule on these. You can always watch them or listen to them. I've thought about doing video, but right now listen to them at boatdealerprofits.com/podcast, and you can listen to it right there on the computer while you're having lunch. So I appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next time. Take care.